In spring, when the flowering season starts, you might notice small yellow structures hanging down from grass plants, dangling in the wind. Those are anthers, and they are the most noticeable part of a grass flower. But unless you're allergic to grass pollen, which can be pretty irritating, it might never have crossed your mind that grasses are in fact flowering plants. And that makes sense, since you've probably never seen their flowers. Or have you? There are no colorful petals, no fragrance being emitted from their blossoms, and no bees buzzing around them looking to collect pollen. So what is going on with grass flowers? Why are they so inconspicuous? And what do they actually look like? First of all, grasses are wind-pollinated, which explains why some features serving to attract pollinators, such as petals, are missing. They simply don't need them. But that doesn't make their flowers plain or boring. Quite the opposite. To find the flower, let's get back to the part you can see, the anthers. Following down along the stamens, we come across two bracts, a lemma and a palea. These bracts enclose the flower inside, so we need to gently open them up to reveal the flower. The flower, together with the lemma and palea, create a floret. This is an important term in grass morphology, and we'll get back to it in just a minute. First, let me show you the structure of the flower under a microscope. So opening up a flower, you might already see white fuzzy structures peeking out. These are feathery stigmas. Continuing down, we arrive at a round ovary. The drawing on the right is a typical grass flower diagram you'll find in a textbook. Let's compare it with a real example. You can see here that this is an ovary, which will, after fertilization, develop into a fruit. The lower part of the ovary is overlapped by two lodicules, which are a little hard to see in the photo, but they're emphasized in the drawing. These two scale-like structures are believed to be a reduced perianth. They are tiny, but they play a major role in flower opening. During flowering, their bases swell, pushing the lemma and palea apart, letting the stigmas and anthers emerge. We already talked about the stigmas, but let's focus on them in the photo here. You can really see how feathery they are, and even notice some pollen grains sticking to them. The pollen comes from these large anthers, which, as you can see, are bursting with pollen. And they really stick out, being attached to long filaments. Remember, grasses are wind-pollinated, so their flowers have evolved different features than those that rely on animal pollinators for their pollination. And while I've been showing you a bisexual floret, which has both male and female reproductive structures, note that some florets might be only male, or only female, or even sterile. Now that we know what a grass flower looks like and what a floret is, let's start zooming out to learn about other parts of a grass plant. A single floret is not considered to be a complete flowering unit of a grass. The flowering unit of a grass is called a spikelet, and it is this whole section here. There might be one or more florets in a spikelet. It might even include some sterile ones. And at the base of a spikelet, there are two bracts that are empty, not containing any flowers, and we call them glumes. The lower, first glume, and the upper, second glume. Both glumes and florets are attached to auricles. Sometimes you might see awns, spiky projections coming out of the tip of a lemma or glume, or bristles on a spikelet. As you can see on this grass, there are many spikelets, and altogether they create an inflorescence. Based on the arrangement of spikelets on a rachis, the central axis of the inflorescence, there are different types of inflorescences. In grasses, the most common ones are the panicle, raceme, and spike. It might be tricky to recognize the type of inflorescence at first, but what's really important is being able to identify a single spikelet. The rachis of an inflorescence is continuous with the stem. You might hear the botanical term culm being used for a stem of grasses, but both terms are correct and they can be used interchangeably. A grass stem, or culm, is usually hollow, and has clearly visible joints which are not hollow. These joints or swollen areas are called nodes, and they might be differently colored or even hairy. The area between two nodes is called an internode. Leaves come out of nodes, and they're divided into two sections: a blade, the portion diverging from the stem, and a sheath, the portion of a leaf hugging the stem. If you follow the sheath down along the stem, you might notice that in some species the margins are fused together, while in others they're free. This can be a useful identification character. But maybe the most important characteristic, especially for grasses that are not in flower, is the so-called collar region, the area where the leaf blade meets the stem. In most grasses we find a ligule here, which comes in different shapes, often as a membrane or just a line of hairs, or even a membrane with hairs along its edge. Some species are missing a ligule completely, so you won't always find it. To see the ligule, you might need to gently pull the leaf blade away from the stem. While doing so, you might see small projections on each side of the base of a leaf blade. These are auricles. And that concludes our introduction to all the important above-the-ground grass parts, knowledge of which will not only help you understand grasses in general, but will serve you in grass identification. I'm curious to hear from you about your experience with grasses. Did you know about any of their cool features? Have you ever taken the time to look closely at a grass plant? They're so abundant, and yet most of us know so little about them. Take a look next time you're outside and let me know what you've observed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.